Do you ever say your dream out loud and immediately follow it up with a joke? Something like, I want to live in Italy, start a little wine and art studio, and host strangers who become friends. I mean, not really. But the dream came out for a reason. That wild idea, that thing you casually toss out and then walk back in, that might actually be the real you talking. The one underneath all the shoulds, the responsibilities, and the decades of being reasonable. And if you're over 60, you might think you missed the window. But what if this is the first time the window is actually open? Let's talk about how to take your biggest, wildest dream, the one that lights you up, and make it something you don't just daydream about, but actually do. Because most people don't fail at big dreams because they're unrealistic. They fail because they never really begin. And they don't begin because the dream feels too big, too far away, or too tangled up in fantasy. So let's untangle it. Let's make it real, not in the boring, make a 5-year plan kind of way, in the you're alive now, so let's go kind of way. Here are 3 things that actually make the difference between a dream that fizzles out and one that comes to life. First, your dream needs a body. What do I mean by that? Most people walk around with dreams that are basically just feelings. I want to feel free. I want to do something that matters. I want to live somewhere beautiful. That's great, but you can't build something if it doesn't have form. The dream needs a body. It needs details, context, colors, language, texture. Otherwise, it stays a floating feeling with no weight to it. I had a conversation recently with someone who said she wanted to feel more alive. And she wanted to feel more alive in this stage of her life. But until she pictured herself dancing barefoot at a beachside music festival in Costa Rica, like really pictured herself, hearing the drums, feeling the salt in her hair, until that point, it stayed abstract. That image, that gave her dream a pulse. So let's say your dream is to live abroad. Where? A quiet town in Portugal? A bustling street in Paris? For how long? Maybe a year? 3 months? Is it a forever kind of thing? What's your rhythm there? Are you writing at cafes? Are you hosting dinners? Maybe you're taking long walks before breakfast. The more texture you give it, the more your brain shifts from fantasy mode into blueprint mode. This isn't just motivational fluff I'm talking about here. There's actual neuroscience here. When your brain has a specific picture, it starts building new neural pathways. You're not just imagining anymore. You're actually reprogramming. The brain needs details to believe something is possible, and belief, that's where energy and action start to align. And here's the beautiful part. If the dream shifts later, that's okay. It's way easier to adjust a clear vision than to drag a vague longing through the mud, hoping it becomes something. So, let the dream take shape, even if it's messy, even if it changes along the way, because once it has a body, it can start moving. Second, you've got to stop asking if it's realistic. Realistic is usually just code for socially unacceptable, for what people won't roll their eyes at. And honestly, by the time you're 60, you've spent enough years doing what made sense to everyone else. Now, it's about what feels aligned for you. And I promise you, alignment is not some mystical thing. It's just that click when your energy, your identity, and your actions all start pointing in the same direction. So let's say your dream is to start a business now with zero interest in retiring. That's not unrealistic. That's you living in alignment with who you actually are. So instead of asking, can I pull this off? Try asking, what version of me lives this? What does she believe? What does she stop apologizing for? What does she finally stop waiting for? A friend of mine started a retreat center at the age of 62, and people told her it was just a nice idea, but probably not practical. So she didn't argue with them. She just kept moving. She found the space, she got the permit, she filled the first retreat, and never once asked anyone to validate her timeline. When you stop asking for permission, the path unfolds faster. And from a law of assumption perspective, you don't need to work up to the dream version of yourself. You assume it's already you. You carry yourself that way. You show up with that energy. That doesn't mean pretending. It's aligning with your future self as if she's already steering the ship. What would change today if you saw yourself as already living that life? What would you say yes to? What would you finally say no to? That one's just as important as what you say yes to. Third, your dream needs one small action now, not later. This is where most people freeze. They feel inspired, the dream lights up, they feel the buzz of possibility, and then they wait for a better time. But your brain doesn't respond to inspiration. It responds to actual proof. One small action tells your brain, we're serious. And when your brain believes you, it starts to get on board. So let's say your dream is to publish a book. One small action, you could order a book on self-publishing, or simply open a Google Doc, name it, and save it to your desktop. So that's the one you're going to go back to and start actually writing in. That one click changes your posture. You sit a little straighter. You walk through the day with a different kind of awareness. Another example, let's say you want to live somewhere new. Maybe you can print out a photo of the town you want to move to. Put it where you see it. So that's not nothing. It's actual direction. Do you want to sell your art? Post a piece online. Just start with one. Tiny actions done consistently don't just build momentum. They rebuild identity. You go from someone who thinks about writing to someone who actually writes, from someone who dreams of moving to someone who's researching flight prices, from someone who talks about starting to someone who's already started. Once you're in motion, the energy shifts. You notice different things. People respond differently. Opportunities you couldn't even see before start showing up. That's the law of attraction working with you, not just because you wished hard enough, but because your signal changed. And that signal, it's your action. Now let's zoom out. If you're here watching this, still dreaming, still wondering, still showing up for what might be next, you're already in motion. You're not trying to go back. You're trying to go forward. You're trying to make this chapter count. And you can, but not if you keep waiting for it to feel safe. Not if you keep laughing off the thing that won't leave you alone. And not if you keep shrinking just to make everyone else comfortable. This isn't about chasing goals to prove anything. It's about honoring that pull inside you, the one that says, I'm not done yet, not even close. So what's that dream for you? The one you keep circling back to, the one you almost admit out loud and then change the subject. That one, that's one worth listening to. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need a spreadsheet or a website or a 5-year timeline. You just need the version of you who says, I'm doing it. And then let the rest catch up. Let your brain rewire. Let your energy align. Let the world respond, because it will. Thanks for hanging out with me. Next chapter's coming soon.